I'm Scott Allen Miller, and I have no idea what happened to the first half of today's episode. That was all kinds of glitches. Obviously, I missed some stuff while editing, but Final Cut Pro totally messed up the audio sync, and at least the audio continued till pretty close to the end. But the video just drifted off to something completely different. I have no idea where that came from. Final Cut Pro just synced it up as if that was the audio for that portion of the video and just stuck it in there. Really weird. And then it just cut off the audio as if that was the end. So I apologize for that. What I was saying was that there's this amazing marketing going on from San Juan del Sur and possibly from some other areas, but really strongly from that market that's attempting to create this sense of panic. And someone mentioned to me in today's post after it went up, so hopefully you'll see this on the same day. Like I'm rushing to get this done to kind of fix the missing portion because I didn't notice it was missing until my dad mentioned. He's like, hey, at 19 minutes and 20 seconds, your thing goes haywire. And I'm like, what? Like I try to check all the pieces, but sometimes it doesn't quite work. And especially when I have a lot and I'm rushing. And there's this sense of panic. But someone mentioned, the world's falling apart and the news is making it like there's all this, like the financial world is burning and crypto has failed. And people are starting to get this sense of urgency that they need to do something. Now, I don't want to go into whether or not that is a real sense of urgency or just an emotional reaction to the normal change of the world. We've had things like this in the past. So I'm not necessarily saying that you should be panicked about the state of the world, but I'm not saying you shouldn't either. But that sense of urgency that's coming from the news media in the first world and in North America, Western Europe, right? That stuff, they really are, because that's how the news cycle works. They're trying to make this really intense that you've got to do something. The dollar's going to evaporate. The crypto's going to fail. Nothing works. Well, of course, those aren't investment platforms. Their value is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You shouldn't be holding cash. That's an investment discussion, but don't hold cash, whether it's crypto or regular cash. That makes no sense. The things, just real quick, general investment advice, right? Real estate is not an investment. I've got videos about that. Go look at it, but it does track with inflation. So if you're looking to hedge against inflation, real estate generally does so. Just be aware that real estate has its own complications, but it's a realistic thing. But you've got to be careful not to buy it when it's on a peak, right? Which is what's been going on in the United States. There was a huge bubble, and so everyone was buying, saying there's no way for real estate to ever go down, which of course is absolutely against every bit of logic and history. But okay, whatever. But when we're looking at general investments, the one thing that has always been safe, and everyone will immediately turn to it and try to emotionally get you to think that it's not, is stocks. Over the long haul, stocks protect against inflation, they protect against changes, they protect against collapse, and always have. But that same sense of panic, people are going to play on that to try to get you to do things irrationally. They're going to use emotions and your emotional responses, your worries about the world, your uncertainty about the future, all those things. They're going to see that. They're going to try to get it to increase. They're going to try to get you towards a flight or fight response. And their answer to that is going to be buy Nicaraguan real estate. Real estate always makes money. Complete and utter lie. Yes, I will agree, Nicaraguan real estate is a pretty safe bet these days. It has a legal framework that makes it much safer than other places to buy real estate, and the real estate market is very depressed, making it one of the strongest places in the world to buy real estate today. That is true, and I'm not arguing that you shouldn't get real estate in Nicaragua. Of course, I have tons of videos telling you how smart it is to get it, but under no circumstances should you get it irrationally or in a panic or because you're simply emotionally feeling the need to put your money somewhere. That's a really bad idea. You need to carefully plan, find the right property that meets your needs. If you're going to invest in Nicaraguan businesses, you need to do so with a lot of clarity and knowledge of the market. You have to still act rationally, but they are going to do everything they can to make you worried about the world outside, or look for people who are worried about the world outside and try to present Nicaragua as a hedge against that, but in a very immediate sense, one that makes you tend to act dangerously and send money or make decisions or pay way too much for something. And all of those things are exactly what you want to not do at the moment that something bad is going to happen, right? Whether it's simply you're stressed and that could be something that puts you in danger, or the world really is going to fall apart. If that's the case, you don't want to be making bad decisions as that happens, because one, bad decisions tend to lead to other bad decisions, that's just an emotional thing. But more importantly, at the time that you're trying to protect your future, you don't want to be buying real estate that doesn't really exist, or paying way too much and losing your investment capital. You don't want to be starting up businesses that are going to lose money. You could end up taking your nest egg, everything that you have as leverage, as hedge, as protection against your future, and throwing it away because you acted irrationally, because you were feeling a sense of panic. So all of that said, the thing that you need to do is what I've been saying all along. Yes, do all the research that you can, but you can't do very much from abroad. So don't expect to. Don't get the feeling that by doing lots of research, you're gaining a lot of insight into the market. That's not how this works. The amount of research that you do from the outside could actually put you at greater risk. So make sure you are understanding that everything you're seeing from abroad may be skewed to mislead you, whether it's to instill that sense of panic, to give you an emotional need to get in. They'll tell you things are moving fast. Other people are looking at the properties. You'll start to get that sense of, maybe I need to not listen to Scott. Maybe I need to jump in and spend my money and put all my eggs in one basket without even knowing where that basket is or who's going to be carrying it, because I don't want to lose an opportunity you don't even know exists yet, and you don't have any way to gauge if it's a good one or a bad one. This is an entire country. You are not going to lose the only house of interest. There's not just one plot of land that might make sense for you. You need to come, act rationally, act normally, right? We use this term in business sometimes. Don't be weird. And it's a hard one to explain, but normally when it's happening, people understand it. You start to act in a way that rational people do not, and you want to do weird things. I want to buy a house I've never seen. I want to invest in a business I know nothing about. I want to jump into a new country without doing any actual on-the-ground research because I feel like I need to be in that country at all costs. The reality is you can just show up. You don't need to do anything to be able to come here and start investigating. The one thing that would make sense is getting here. If you're in a position where this is where you think you need to be, simply come here and start the process of learning, and do so right away. Don't put that off. At the end of the day, if you're in a hurry to get to Nicaragua, there's only one thing that makes sense. Get on a plane, come to Nicaragua. I realize that there's complications in people's lives, and you need to sell a house or get your banking in order, sell off your furniture, let all your family know that you're leaving, but it's Nicaragua. It's not that far. It's not the other side of the universe. It's not the end of the world. Just get on a plane and come down. You can always go back. Come and spend some time so that you're prepared to make good decisions. The sooner you get to Nicaragua, the sooner you start protecting yourself against all those unknowns. And the sooner you start putting yourself in a position to make those changes you want to make. If you want to buy a house, get here to help yourself be able to buy a house. If you want to start a business here, get here and start learning about the local business environment. If you want to have your money moved into Nicaragua and have all of your cash sitting here instead of in some other country, then get here and start opening bank accounts in your own name and be ready to do that as soon as possible. There is a path, and a single path, to getting these things done safely and properly and quickly. And that path, for some reason, is the thing that most people avoid. They want to have all the things that you would have in your home country after a lifetime of being there in place before they even arrive. And if you had billions of dollars and a concierge who could assemble all of that for you, okay, yes, you could do that and have all those things in place. But if you have those resources, you don't need me to tell you that you can hire experts to come in and do all that for you ahead of time. You can already have a decorated house with the air conditioning running and new pets purchased for you and groomed, ready for you to come in. Of course, but for most people, people who are looking to protect what financial resources they have, people who are looking to hedge against the fall of Western civilization, there's not going to be those kinds of resources. But all you have to do is make that decision, get on a plane, fly to Managua, fly to Liberia, cross the border, come into Nicaragua, and your journey of discovering the things that you need to know that no one can explain to you from abroad will begin. I'd love to be able to tell you all the things you need to know. I could tell you where you'd like to build a house. And in theory, if I spent loads of time sitting down with you and talking about all of your needs, sending you pictures, looking at different houses, going back and forth over a period of time, I have done that for people in the past. And yes, we've had pretty good success, but it takes months or years. If you have no way to travel, that can be beneficial. But if you're in a hurry, that is not beneficial. It's not going to speed you up unless you are simply trapped somewhere for years and can't come visit on your own. Probably there's better ways to solve that. Maybe not. If that's the situation you're in, okay. But for normal people, for everyone who's looking at coming here sometime in the near future, come here right away. Start your journey as soon as possible. The moment you set foot in the country, you will suddenly know more than you ever did before. Every day that you're here, you will learn really quickly. And this is true for any country, right? If you want to move to Germany, you want to move to Canada, you want to move to New Zealand, you want to move to Chile, get there, walk around, drive around, investigate different cities, different towns, different parts of that country, different communities, eat at different restaurants, start to get a feel. Do you want to live on the beach, in the mountains? What does that mean in that country? Then you can start assembling, okay, now I know where I want to get a house. Now I know what houses look like. Now I know what the price range should be. All those things. You can't do that from abroad anywhere, but nowhere is it harder than Nicaragua, because everyone is trying to take advantage of people who are trying to do that. And I don't know why, I've said this before, I don't know why so many people looking at Nicaragua are doing so in such a weird way where they have this panic feeling that they need to do things. People moving other countries don't generally have that feeling. And I don't know why Nicaragua has made such a focus, other than to take advantage of that there's such a focus that everything facing out of the country is preying on that mentality. But those two things make for a very dangerous conversation, a very dangerous situation that anyone who's reaching out from remote to Nicaragua is almost guaranteed to find one of the people just waiting to take advantage of them. And because they're reaching out in that way, they're right to be taken advantage of. And because there's so many people doing it, there's a framework for making it easy to prey on those people. So the only power you have is knowing that it can happen and doing everything you can to avoid the situations where it would happen to you. Don't set yourself up. And I can't believe how often I say this, and immediately people respond to me with, okay, well, I did exactly the thing that you told me not to do, and I got exactly the information you said I would get if I did that. And even though you told me not to do it, and I know that the information I got is going to mislead me, I think it misled me in this way, and I think I believe it. Can you show me where it's like? You set yourself up. And if you know the information that I'm giving you and you still do it, then what that means is that you're at extremely high risk for falling for it, because you're trying somewhere emotionally, you're trying to convince yourself that it's okay. And I know why it happens. We want certain things to be true. We want to be able to buy a house remotely. We want to start a business and feel like we're going to make lots of money. We want to have things in motion and feel like we're not waiting. All those things provide emotional fulfillment, and we want processes to feel familiar. We want to do them in a way we're used to. So we're going to reach out and try to find ways to do things the way we want, not the ways that make sense, not the logical ways, not the business ways, not the safe ways, dangerous ways to fulfill an emotional need that we all have. I have it too. And when we do that, we are set up for everything to take advantage of us, for everything to go wrong, for money to be spent way too much, to be scammed, for just dangerous, dangerous things. Please don't do that. Please do not put yourself in a position where you're advertising to people that you're available to be taken advantage of, right? Do your own research, but only if you can control that emotional reaction that makes you feel, oh, I looked at 20 different websites and they all say the same thing that I know is false, but lots of people said it. I start to believe that it may be true. You're essentially gaslighting yourself. Don't do that. We know those resources are out there. We know they're fake. Don't use them. Get down here, get in person, educate yourself. Once you are here, it is very hard to fall for those things because it's so obvious how wrong or how weird or how skewed from reality they must be. That's the protection you will have. Get down here and explore on your own. Thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. Do all that stuff. If you'd like to sponsor the channel, buy me a coffee. I will see all of you once again, because I already said this today, tomorrow.